Okay, we ready to start side 2?
And welcome back to side 2.
Welcome back to Paranoid.
We are extremely paranoid about the fact that we can't seem to get this recording right.
This is like the third time. This is
Did
the
we?
second time we got to record this, and yet something still happened.
Yep.
Did we tell them what happened the first time we tried to do it?
I just kind of did.
Oh. Well, never mind.
Stay
Okay.
focused.
I'm sorry, there's a really tasty brownie right here, and it's taking all of my attention.
All right.
Thanks to McKenna.
They're really
right.
good brownies.
Thanks, McKenna.
So
Thanks, McKenna.
even though we stopped about halfway through Iron Man, hopefully you finish the song because it's fantastic.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? So, all right, before any other problems arise, should we start side 2?
I think we should.
All right, it is flipped, right?
It is. I flipped it.
Awesome. All right,
We should do the flips.
and we are going to start in 3, 2, 1. All right, needles down, and electric funeral.
That wah pedal. So good.
And another good headbanging tune.
Yes.
Dimebag Darrell, the lead guitarist from Pantera, may he also rest in peace, is quoted on record saying that Electric Funeral is one of the heaviest, most badass songs he's ever heard in his life.
Mm-hmm.
He loves it and he thinks it will last forever. And that's the reason that he took a lot of his style and like cues in his playing was from this record.
Mm-hmm.
He loves Black Sabbath.
This is a pretty good early wah pedal. Well, or this is really good wah pedal work. I'd say the only thing earlier than this that would match up in comparison would be when Hendrix uses a wah pedal.
And it was used to
Because,
do a very different effect.
Totally different
Very
effect.
different.
But he was also using a harmonic pedal along with it, so it just sounded really off. But
Harmonic effects are
Yeah.
awesome. I
So-
want one of those.
So while I was listening to this a couple nights ago, it seemed to me that Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, and Rat Salad all seem seem like just one long piece because there really is no break in between them. So I was wondering, I'm like, is there like a concept behind like the three of these maybe? Like, I don't know. Because they just, like I said, they just flow into it, and it's like, if you're just listening to the album, you can't depict really which song is which because they blend so well.
Yeah, I always had that problem. Never on the CD, but definitely for the record. You can just zone out and just... Side 2 feels like a very nice... It's just very, very connected. You just kind of... I mean, by that point, if you are somebody who enjoys doing, like, drugs, I guess that's what the kids call them.
That's what the kids call them.
Basically, you start the record, you toke up
good.
during Planet Caravan, you start geeking out during Iron Man, and then for the next side, you get into that nice, fluffy cushion, and you're just like, oh.
Well, by this point, you've probably already smoked a joint. By this point, it's probably kicking in. Okay, but yeah,
I love this riff. I'm sorry. Bow, 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 bow. It's like, I don't know. It's got that interesting treble upwards tone in it, and it reminds me of the sort of weird upbeat feeling you get in some of the metal today, where it's like, yeah, it's a lot of blast beats and that kind of shit, but there's also this sort of upward momentum in it that I wish it was in the song more. I love that little lick, and it's so quick. I wish there was more of it.
Well, the beginning of the song, sorry, Pat.
oh no, it's okay. Go ahead.
The beginning of the song is a lot of on the beat stuff, and this is a lot of and beats.
Right.
So it's like the stark difference.
Yeah, it's
really,
like part 2,
really
and that's
good.
why it like everything fades out, and you just hear like the little drum beat that leads into it, and then it changes to like part B of the song, and now here's back to part A.
Yeah. ABA. Don't we love it?
Since the dawn of time,
Ternary form, the dark side.
it's better than trying to write metal songs in strophic, which is just stupid. You can't do that.
Nah, you can't. You need something to change it up.
So
It's just like one riff forever, and you're like, please stop, play something else.
So a while back, I was watching the and it has to do with the album. I was watching Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem movie, which if you haven't watched it, watch it. It is pretty good.
It's pretty damn
But
okay.
Electric Funeral popped in my mind because I was like, well, what? Like just by the name, it was curious. It's like Electric Funeral, huh? And there's a scene in the movie where Sherry Moon Zombie walks into a room and it's black, and the only thing you can see is this bright red neon cross.
Oh, yeah.
That scene was very well done.
And that's all I see, and that's what I think whenever I think Electric Funeral. It's just that scene where it's just like a black room with like blood red, like neon crosses and upside down like
Pentagrams and goats that Sherry Moon is riding and hair whipping her hair around. And...
I always wanted to ride a goat. What? On an entirely separate note, you guys mentioned earlier about feeling the whole second half is sort of one concept.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it a little bit, and I don't know what Black Sabbath says Electric Funeral's about, but to me it's about pollution and just sort of the stress that mankind has put on the world. All of our electronics and everything have created a mass funeral.
Ooh,
and
yeah,
it's them, not them destroying the world, but it's them talking about how we as a human race are destroying the world.
And then there's a Hand of Doom!
Which, interestingly enough, is more about how we destroy ourselves. There was a famous controversy, and I'm looking it up just so I get the date specifically. It was, it just says early 1970s. I think it was 72, I'm not sure. But there was a nurse who killed herself. And when they found, her body and whatnot, Paranoid Side 2 was playing on her record player next to her corpse. And they walked in while Hand of Doom was playing. And they thought that she, killed herself because of the drugs and whatnot, where this song is actually about not doing drugs and how it destroys you, and like your own hand is your doom.
Ooh,
and that's the sort of the point behind the song. But the public took it way out of proportion and assumed it was
usual.
Like they
Sabbath.
do with a lot.
Yeah. It was a lot like
Manson with the
with
Columbine
Priest and whatnot,
and Priest, with the teen suicides. That's right.
And the
it's not the music.
messages. And
Look, if the message is the band were trying to convey were actually suicidal or violent messages, the band would have gone out and shot up a bunch of people or killed themselves already. That's obviously not the messages they're
like
actually
that
trying to.
guy who burned down like 13 churches.
It's kind of obvious.
Yeah. Well, Norwegian.
A band's actions should
Norway?
speak for the meaning of their music. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on that. I like to see that in modern day, like not to get super off track, but real quick, the band The Chariot, run by Josh Goggin, one of my favorite bands. They are technically a Catholic Christian metalcore band, but they, none of them drink, none of them do drugs. They're all very upstanding people, but they do violent hardcore music. And they were asked in an interview how they could have this juxtaposition about who they are as people. And they were like, it's not a juxtaposition. We are people. We feel angry. We feel stress. And our music is a non-destructive way to let that out. And that's something I've always loved. And I liked their music, but after I saw that interview, it made me love their music and go back more.
Yeah, you get to think a little bit about why they're writing the songs. You can start to picture what they're going through as they're getting that rage out.
Right?
Well, the place where where the area in England where Black Sabbath originated was also, fun fact, it was the origin place of also Judas Priest.
Really?
If I remember correctly.
Do you know where?
It's in, well, go figure. It was in a metal refinery town.
Oh.
So it was like, if you remember like the image of Pink Floyd's Animals, like that factory.
Yeah.
It's a factory town.
Okay.
So it looked a lot like that. It was dirty. It was dirty. It was filthy. People were living in poverty. So no wonder music like this came out of it, because I don't know, like we have these living in PA. We have the steel mills and stuff like that, and honestly, I don't think a lot of people are happy working there, but it's just something you have to do.
Well, that's why I'll cite this live.
Yeah.
gotta live in this shit town. We're talking
Right.
about York.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not
Screw
saying
you.
that where you are from. Because you live on the
York.
outskirts. You live in Hallam. But,
Yeah, I
but
did. I lived closer
But
in my younger years.
It's
but
not
yeah.
as much of a shit town as it was in the 90s, but at least you can identify with that idea.
I checked online real quick because apparently I'm the fact checker now, which is cool. Actually, someone should be doing it.
Oh, yeah, it's great. It's great.
And it was Birmingham.
Yeah,
is where it was.
that's right.
And it's
Sorry.
Yep,
Black
yep.
Sabbath, Judas Priest, half of Led Zeppelin, Moody Blues, and the Electric Light Orchestra all had
Oh, wow.
certain members come from Birmingham.
Yep.
And I think it was because it was like a steel mill town and it was a factory, and that people needed this other outlet. And those who were influenced and loved music who lived in town, with so little else to do, they got so into it that musicians became who they were.
I wonder if any of those bands kind of did in desperation, because normally in towns like that, they are run by the mills and stuff like that. Like
Right.
the factory is the life source of the town and its inhabitants. So I was wondering if there are any members of any of these bands, especially Black Sabbath themselves, that were like, well, this is my only way to get out of it. Like, if I don't want to work here, I have to do something else.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense. I mean, it reminds me, there's an old Dave Chappelle joke from the Chappelle Show where he goes into the inner city and he's talking to a group of like underprivileged students, and he starts to tell them to follow your dreams and whatnot, because you got to find some way to get out there and entertain people. Learn to play basketball or do something just to entertain people with money, and it will get you out. And although he was saying it as a joke, it's kind of true. Like, if you're stuck in this area working in the mill, you're not making enough money to get out and do something.
Right.
exactly.
But if you become a top-selling band, now you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Correct. Well, we kind of skipped over Rat Salad, I believe.
I mean, to be honest, I really don't have a lot to talk about with that.
We kind of
song.
already talked about
Yeah.
it.
With the drum solos
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Again,
Wait, was that deleted?
Was that deleted?
We will check. But I guess I'll just say it again real quick, just in case it was deleted.
Oh, you buddy.
That they were. It was originally like a 30, 45-minute drum solo piece, and Tony and
Geezer.
were like, they were just kind of with their instruments off, jamming to it, and then they started writing it after that performance, and it became that song.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I
I
got.
don't know. Rat Salad and Hand of Doom, I just always sort of overlook. Like if I'm driving in my car, which is one of the places that I love listening to Black Sabbath, because they are excellent driving music.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll listen to the whole first side of this record of Paranoid, and then I kind of just skip right to Fairies Wear Boots, and then I usually just jump to either Masters of Reality, or for some reason listening to Black Sabbath always makes me want to listen to Pantera. So like, I'll listen to half of Paranoid, and then Fairies Wear Boots, and then I'll just put on Cowboys from Hell.
Black Sabbath is the gate.
It's the gateway.
It's the gateway. It's the gateway drug to heavy metal.
Paranoid is a gateway album. Yeah, gateway to good times. Woo!
I think there are a lot of classic albums that have that same influence. Like, for me, I wouldn't be into like the progressive music I like now if it wasn't for, I would say, like even Dark Side. So these classic albums really are. We also, some of these are evergreens, but also I really do think there are such things as gateway albums.
Good use of evergreen, by the way. You don't hear that term a lot anymore.
I threw that
don't
in.
mean trees.
Yeah, I threw it in on the Sgt. Pepper's one. I'm like, yeah, I like it.
Now you need to find a new word, man. You're overusing it.
I know, right? That's like 3 times. No.
Hip.
Hip.
Hip. Doesn't even sound like a word anymore. Hip. Little That 70s Show.
Yeah.
Starts to lose its
reference
meaning
for
after
ya.
a while. Hey, yo.
So the guy on the front cover looks like, I don't know, he has that face when it's like, oh, I just shit myself.
Oh, man.
It's funny, actually. They designed this cover art before Paranoid was written, when it was originally going to be called Warpagus or
That makes
Warpigs,
sense.
which I can't pronounce.
Because that
And then
guy's
when
a warrior.
Right? And then when they changed it, they were like, I don't know what, and they just let it go. There's actually a really funny quote. It was Phil Alexander, whoever that is, was talking to Ozzy Osbourne, 1998, And he said, and I quote, "The album title had nothing to do with the sleeve." Still quoting, "What the fuck does a bloke dressed as a pig with a sword in his hand got to do with being paranoid? I don't know, but they decided to change the album title without changing the artwork. Fuck it."
It's funny because this is
words of wisdom.
Like, it's not a great album cover. Like,
No, I always thought it was
not.
shitty.
It's a very well known one. I think it's one of like the top.
Iconic?
Top iconic album covers.
You know that record that's it's really famous. I forget who did it, and it's it's a full LP, and on both sides of the record it's just white. Like
The Beatles.
I was kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, the White Album. I was trying to find a way to jokingly leave my way to that, but you fucking ruined it.
You're welcome.
It's like the White Album. It honestly is not a great cover. There's nothing on it. Like it took a lot of thought for them to get to having no artwork, but in my mind, that's a cop-out. It's kind of stupid.
I think the best album cover of the 70s is still London Calling. London Calling, I think, is like my favorite. Well, it's satirical because they ripped the idea of it off an Elvis record.
Yes, I like that.
And B, it shows the intensity of the Clash live, because that is I think the bass player smashing his own bass live, and it was just a snapshot that some woman at a concert found. And sorry, we're not here to talk about the Clash. I know.
No, we're not here to talk about the Clash.
Sorry, but that is my favorite album cover.
Honestly, I would have to say mine, and it's not on the record. I'm sorry. No, I had it the other way around. It's not on the CD, but it's on the original record of Jefferson Airplane's "Surrealistic Pillow." It's one of my favorite.
The pink cover.
Yeah, technically that was I think 67 or 68, not the 70s. But I love that album cover.
Yeah.
And I also just love Jefferson Airplane.
There are
Not
too
Starship.
many,
Screw that.
Yeah.
Screw Starship.
There are too many covers, at least for me. Too many covers from the 70s that I love. I would have to break it down by genre. Like my favorite metal cover, my favorite prog cover, my favorite classic cover.
Right.
You know, I don't know. There's just so many good ones.
Give us two. Just it doesn't have to be your favorite. Just two that stick out to you a lot.
Let's see. I really love the "Wish You Were Here" cover.
Yes.
The one
where he's not leaning in, but the original pressing where he's leaning back.
Yeah.
And then they have, and the whole. When you
Creepy
talk
but
about
genius.
the cover, I'm talking about the whole cover. I'm talking about the inside.
Inside
sleeve,
everything.
too. And you got the guy swimming in the sand, and the invisible guy holding the transparent record, and all that weird, wonderful stuff. You know, the businessman, the music industry businessman who really isn't all there.
Right.
It's all very fun to me.
Which is so true of the industry, having worked in it a little bit.
And I guess my other favorite cover is iRobot, where you have.
Of course it is.
It's like
It's a really well done.
It was like in Paris, or
also a
it was like this
groupie for
French indoor
Alan
mall
Parsons.
with these escalators that they took a picture of, and they had everyone pointing and laughing at this big cartoon robot who's like completely out of place, and it's just great. I love it.
You and Alan Parsons got to calm down, bro.
All right, so now we're on Fairies with Boots, right?
My favorite Sabbath song ever.
Drew, you have to have something for this, since this is your favorite.
I do have something for this. Thank you for asking,
No
Patrick.
problem.
Guess what this song is actually about?
Fairies wearing boots.
Smartass. No. Ozzy Osbourne was not sober, surprise, and was wandering around the streets of Birmingham and encountered a group of skinheads. And he, they're all trying to be badass and punk and, be cool and tough and whatnot. And the more they tried to do that, the more Ozzy thought of them as just, you're being fags. Like, you're being lame, you're being, just not cool. Fairies. And the fairies are wearing,
the combat
big,
boots.
tough combat boots.
I get it.
That makes so much sense.
So it is about fairies wearing boots.
Yes, you're sarcastically half right. It is about fairies wearing boots. And the whole thing about I went to the doctor, and he said, Tony, you've gone too far because smoking and drinking is all that you do. I don't know what that means because they didn't even finish the thought. Because smoking and drinking is all that you do, and then the next line is just yeah. They're like, I don't know what else to say.
Well, you are right, sir. You happen to be exactly correct.
The song title is just such a badass image when you think about it. maybe not so much a fairy. I think of just like
Like
almost,
a Tinkerbell fairy, but
yeah.
like a...
I always thought more of like almost like an angel, like the angels on their one album, like the ones that are smoking the cigarettes.
Yeah.
And underneath their gowns, they have like the big punk combat boots.
Oh
on
yeah,
and
actually, that's really.
That actually makes total sense.
So they can fly down and kick you in the face.
I mean, that didn't happen until years later,
Like
though, right?
paratroopers.
no,
After
it
the
didn't.
song? Okay.
But that's just what I think of whenever I hear this song.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. I don't know. I always thought that they like were kind of, because I never analyzed this when I was like in high school.
Yeah.
I always, when I first heard the record, I thought that it was just like because of the cover, the way everything looked, and I was into Tull at the time. I thought they were just telling some Lord of the Rings Hobbit stuff.
Just some like weird.
I literally thought they were talking
fantasy
about
shit.
elves or some shit. You know?
I mean, skinheads are kind of a mythical thing in that you don't really think they exist, and then when you see them, you just kind of want to kill them or something. I don't know. I've never encountered either elves or skinheads, and I would like to keep it that way. But
Yeah.
this,
What
in
if
my
you came-
mind,
Elves
What if
are
you came
dicks.
across an elf that was a skinhead?
kill it. Kill it
Kill
with
it
fire.
now.
Kill it with fire. In my mind, this
Kill it
is
with Black Sabbath.
this is the end of the influence of the blues rock
Yeah. The later-
in Black
yeah.
Sabbath, because their later catalog has some, but if you compare the track listing on Paranoid, this record, to their first record, Black Sabbath, the one that crosses over the most in my mind is Fairies Wear Boots. I think this song could belong on either record, but I'm really glad it's on Paranoid because it's a great, fun way to end the record. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, the little guitar licks and whatnot. Fantastic. It's also a lot of fun to actually play on a guitar for those of you who play. Don't look up tab. Be a real man. Look up the real music.
You know an awesome song by Black Sabbath that is not on this record?
Many other ones.
Well, yes, but Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Yes,
Love that track.
that is a great song.
track. Yeah.
I still prefer Into the Void or Spiral Architect, Lord of this World and Orchid, Children of the Grave.
Oh, yeah, that's
Children,
right.
Children of the Grave was a song that got me into Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
I heard, and this is sad, I heard White Zombie, Rob Zombie's old
Doing
school
the
band,
cover of it,
doing
yeah.
the cover of Children of the Grave, and I got hooked.
It's good.
And jumped in and started looking into Black Sabbath. And then oddly enough, the first record I got was not the one with Children of the Grave on it. I went for Paranoid, and everything went from there.
Good choice, though.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the album's now done. We talked a little over it. So yeah, let us know what you think. Hopefully, if this is your first time hearing this record or that you've heard this record,
Good for you. Yeah.
Also,
congratulations.
if this is your first time hearing this record, why were you listening to us talk about it?
Instead of just listening to the record.
It baffles me, but
Jerk.
you guys do what you want.
You just do you, man. That's all you can do. I think that's a whimsically appropriate place to stop.
Yep. All right. Well,
Have we come up with a catchphrase yet? Do we have?
no, not yet. But you know what?
Mix it with my
Like, oh, throwback.
throwback.
But yeah, we hope you like this. Like we said, this is, to give you a little teaser, this was the hide to the next album we'll do, which will be the Jekyll of the 70s classic rock. So, there's your hint.
5-6, pick up sticks.
That's right. All right. Excelsior,
smack
kids.
you.
I'll see you later.
Don't do drugs. Stay in school.